Tonight, more layoffs are coming to Microsoft. Tim Cook says Apple doesn't want your data. And who wants data from all those fitness trackers? Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 173 for Tuesday, September 16th, 2014. This episode is brought to you by NatureBox, which ships great tasting healthy snacks right to your door. Forget the vending machine and start snacking smarter with delicious treats like lemon almond biscotti bites. To get your free NatureBox sampler, go to naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Lane, and let's get right into today's tech feed. ZDNet's Mary Jo Foley, who also co-hosts Windows Weekly right here on Twit, reports her sources tell her Microsoft will lay off another group of employees to be announced internally this Thursday, the 18th, as part of its larger planned cuts of 18,000 people. That was announced by the company back in July when it cut 13,000 employees in a first wave of layoffs. The company says it's realigning its worldwide workforce by cutting those 18,000 jobs total, with 12,500 of the cuts coming from employees from within Nokia's handset and services business, of course, acquired by Microsoft. CEO Satya Nadella told employees back in July that the vast majority of the cuts would happen over a 6-month period between July 2014 and January 2015. As a result of the layoffs, Microsoft will incur pre-tax charges of $1.1 billion to $1.6 billion for severance and related benefits costs over the next 4 quarters. It's expensive to lay people off, turns out. Apple's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus will be NFC capable when they start shipping out to customers this Friday. But Cult of Mac reports that its Apple sources say the company's NFC chips won't be open to developers, at least not when Apple Pay launches in October. NFC will be rolled into that. Apple has declined to comment on future plans for its NFC chip. But at the company's iPhone event last week, an Apple Watch demo did show video of a watch unlocking a hotel room using NFC. So some partners may get preferential access down the line, depending on deals that they may have in place with the iPhone maker. Speaking to journalist Charlie Rose in the second half of a 2-part interview that aired last night on PBS, Apple CEO Tim Cook said that the company has no interest in gathering information on its users, does not read user emails, does not read iMessages, and that the company's goal is to avoid having a big collection of data when it gets requests from the National Security Agency for user information. Cook told Rose, quote, "We have hundreds and millions of customers, so it's a very rare instance that there's been any data asked, and one of the reasons is we don't keep a lot. We're not the treasure trove of places to come to." After Apple's 2-factor authentication system for the iCloud.com suite of web apps disappeared back in June, many people blamed that, at least partially, on the recent iCloud celebrity photo scandal that saw users' private data stolen. Well, it looks like 2-factor auth is back. Back, baby. The feature requires users to verify their identity via either an SMS code or a device connected to their iCloud login ID. The addition of the 2-factor verification comes following CEO Tim Cook's promise to beef up security after that iCloud breach. You should really turn it on. It's for your own good. According to data from search marketing company, data company AdGuru, Amazon spent $157.7 million. That's the most money by any company by a wide margin on Google search ads in the U.S. last year, 2013. Well, why is that interesting? Well, because Amazon has increased its own search and display ad selling on its own site and other sites as well, which also puts it in direct competition with Google's ad business. Playing both sides, are you, Amazon? Last year, the company made $750 million in worldwide advertising revenue and is expected to pull in more than $1 billion this year. That's according to estimates from digital data firm eMarketer. In July of this year, the company spent nearly $19.5 million on Google search ads alone and $1.2 million on Microsoft Bing search ads. AdGuru CEO Rich Stokes tells Ad Age. Amazon's #1 ranking is based on AdGuru data for desktop search ads on Google properties, doesn't include mobile search ads or search ads shown on third-party properties that use Google as their site's search engine. This is some fun news for all you NASA buffs. Today, NASA made public which private companies it will partner with to transport its human crew to space on future missions. And new contracts worth $6.8 billion were awarded to Boeing and SpaceX to build spacecrafts and rockets and other spacey things for NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Both companies will produce and manage components designed to transport human crews to the International Space Station and beyond. It's here for beyond and keeps the U.S. from relying on Russia's space program. This is the first time in 40 years that a new mission involving a U.S.-built manned spacecraft for deep space travel has begun. NASA has worked with private companies like SpaceX in the past to transport cargo to the ISS, as well as launch satellites beyond Earth's atmosphere. The commercial missions are scheduled to take place in 2017. That's when NASA's current contract with Russia ends. Coming up, who got the very first permit to test drive self-driving cars in California? Up next, I'll also talk with John Koetsier from VentureBeat about a company that wants to aggregate health data from a lot of different fitness trackers. But first, I had a really big desire to just eat a bunch of junk. There's some good stuff back in our pantry here at Twit, but I didn't. You know why? Because I have better options, and that stuff isn't good for you. You go natural, you go delicious with our friends at naturebox.com. This is actually, you can actually get free snacks with a sampler box if you're interested in naturebox.com, but I'll tell you why you want to be, because NatureBox has literally hundreds of delicious snacks. I mean, sometimes we throw out some kind of funny NatureBox snack names, but that's because there are literally so many of them. I ate peanut butter granola the other day. Peanut butter and jelly granola, I didn't even know that existed. And then I don't feel guilty about eating the stuff because it's actually good for me. 0 artificial ingredients, 0 trans fats, 0 high fructose corn syrup. You can find snacks that are low in sugar, gluten-free. If you've got an allergy, you have a snack in there for you. So in the afternoon when you're hungry, you grab some coconut cashews from NatureBox or baked cheddar potato sticks or one of the many kinds of granola on offer. So good and so good for you. Start your free trial right now and you'll get that free sampler box at naturebox.com/twit. Free food is a good thing, man, and if it's good for you, that's a win-win. Stay full, stay strong. Snack smarter with naturebox.com. Go to naturebox.com/twit. Get that free sampler, and we thank NatureBox for their support of Tech News Tonight. Joining me now is John Koetsier, VP of Product over at VentureBeat. Hello, John.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thanks for being here. You wrote a really interesting article today on a company called, is it Viva Metrica, which is a health data aggregation company, but they really want to be cross-platform. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, it's pretty interesting. I don't know about you. Probably 50 million people are wearing some kind of fitness tracker, health tracker. I've had the Jawbone Up. I have the Misfit Shine. I have the Fitbit. Haven't had a Fuel Band. Had a Body Media Strap. This company is looking at taking all of them, all the data that they collect, and uploading to one central place so that you can see all the data from all the fitness trackers that you use or all the different health trackers that you use, period, and then comparing it to thousands, millions of other people around the globe, but also in your area. Maybe you have your age, your gender, all those sorts of things, and giving you lots of interesting information about what's going on with their health and what might be going on with your health, what you might be at risk for, what you're not at risk for. They're also going to actually use medical devices and bring that data in as well. It's a pretty interesting idea.
How does a company like Vivimetrica work with all of these companies that are, many of them are serious competitors with one another, to get everybody to say, okay, this is actually data that we should be sharing with each other because it's in a better interest for the customer?
Yeah, there's sort of like 3 kind of big buckets of data right now, maybe 4. One would be devices that interface with Google Gear, Google Fit. Another would be devices that talk to an Apple device via Apple's Health Kit. A third would be Fitbit, which is pretty siloed. And a fourth might be the whole world of medical devices. So there's these 2 big aggregation factors with Android and with Apple that they're using to get many devices on simultaneously. They're also importing their Fitbit data, and they're working on a case-by-case basis with medical devices.
Now, when it comes to medical devices, data from my doctor's office, let's say, it gets into a little bit of a privacy gray area. How does Vivimetrica, how are they going to package this for the average consumer, where it's a really good thing that this company has so much information on us rather than a scary thing?
Absolutely. They say that it's completely secure, that it's very private, that any data that goes up is either anonymized or you've allowed access to it. So right now, one of the problems is that even though millions of us are collecting lots of data on our health, doctors don't have any access to that, perhaps don't even have any interest in that because it's not normalized. It's not from medical grade standard devices. Vivimetrica thinks that they can solve that by normalizing the data and then providing it via APIs and SDKs into applications that doctors, HMOs, health systems already use.
Okay, well, this is, sometimes that people cringe at the thought of an insurance company, say, knowing that I'm not actually walking at all because my Fitbit is not tracking. I'm just sitting on the couch. And now, there might be some pre-existing condition issue. When you get into something like an insurance company having this information, does that raise questions about how do you keep this stuff on lockdown?
Big time it does. And so Vivimetrica says that it's all about the individual first, and that it's your data first to see and to own and to control who gets it and where it goes and if it's paid for or not paid for. So that's what they're saying right now. The platform isn't released. They're still in beta. So we'll see how that works. We'll see how that comes out. But one of the use cases they specifically mentioned when I talked to the CEO was that you could share the data potentially with a healthcare provider or an insurance agency and say, you know what, hey, because I'm healthy, I'm walking 10,000 steps a day or whatever, you should give me a lower rate. Those sorts of things. So there's some interesting possibilities there. We've seen that sort of in graduated insurance for vehicles based on usage. Maybe something similar will come for people as well. But it remains to be seen, obviously, how the privacy issues are dealt with.
John Koetsier is a VP of Product over at VentureBeat. Thanks so much for joining us, John, and let folks know where they can keep up with you.
It's my pleasure. And you can check me out at John Koetsier on Twitter or at VentureBeat. Thanks
so much.
Thank you.
All right, finally, I asked you who got the first permit to do the self-driving car in California. And it's not Google, it's not Tesla, it's not some California-based vehicle company at all. It's Audi, the first automaker, a German one, to get a permit from the state of California to test self-driving cars on public roads. Now, this is based on state regulations. They've taken effect that specifically allow testing for the first time in California. This is a law that was signed by Governor Jerry Brown back in 2012. Now, Audi is just one of many car makers that have already started test driving technology elsewhere in the world. Nissan, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, Ford, GM are all doing it. As for permits in California, though, the car itself needs to be registered as a self-driving car with the DMV and be capable of driving like a normal car if the self-driving system is turned off. The driver must be an Audi employee, must be a licensed driver for a minimum of 3 years, have a clean driving record, and be seated in the driver's seat at all times, and be really, really sober. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. You should always be sober, even if you don't work for Audi. Subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2, when you're driving anyway. And write us at TN2 at twit.tv with your feedback. Don't miss Tech News Today. That's tomorrow and every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Sarah Lane, and thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.